Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to set up a baked river simulation in Unreal Engine 5. This simulation takes advantage of the built-in water textures and allows the water sim to be baked within the level, allowing for an efficient and good looking river while still allowing for the mesh interaction. Let's get started. Alright, here we are in the Unreal Engine 5.7. We've got a terrain here, a bit of a map happening, and we're going to be adding some water components into our scene here. So the first thing that we need to do is go up to our edits and click plugins. We want to look up water and add our water buoyancy here. Click yes to that. Water experimental and water advanced. Now that's going to require us to restart the engine. So we're just going to click on restart and we are going to wait for that restart to happen. Make sure we save selected. Or as we come back, you're going to be greeted with this error here. Collision profile settings does not included. What we want to do with this is click our add entry to default engine. Once we've clicked that, we want to close this one, close that one, and restart our engine once again. The next thing we're going to do is add our first water component. We're going to go up to the little plus sign here and write water. And then we can do water, river, ocean, lake, and so forth. We're going to be bringing in a water body river. There's the river here. All right, as it comes in to our scenes, we can see that by selecting it, we're going to have different points. We can select all the points by clicking this button here and moving the whole river over. We can bring it up like that, and it's going to cut any of the terrain that you currently have here. Another thing we can do is head towards the first point here and bring that point up, and you can see the line moves, and that's going to become the gradient of our river here. We can also move this around as we wish, and we can also use the Alt to extend this however we see fit. We can do the same on this side here and click the last one here and use your drag button with Alt to extend the river, so that now we have a nice flow of this river down the valley here. Alright, the next thing that we have to do is introduce our water simulation. This is the water simulation that's currently experimental and has been added on 5.6 Unreal Engine. Once again, we're going to go at the top here, look up water, and this time we're going to be bringing shallow water river. As we bring it in, nothing changes, and this is because we need to connect our shallow water river to our actual river that we've placed here. So while having the shallow water river connected here, we want to go and look up water. And under source river water bodies, we're going to add an array, and then we're going to select water body river. And as soon as you do that, the water textures have changed all of a sudden. We've moved to the new textures. These textures allow you to have foam and waves and just have a lot more details on the top of them. You can also do this process and add multiple arrays if you had multiple rivers or if you had a lake down the back. And this is going to allow you to have the same textures going through the multiple bodies of water. The next thing we're going to do is going to click reset while having shallow water river selected, and that's going to simulate the water flow coming down the river and coming to the end of this this river body. So we are going to check for any spillage, which doesn't seem there's many of it. There's a little bit coming over this side here, and there's also a little bit over here. So there's two ways of changing this spillage issue. The first one is in the sim, in the shallow water sim, you can click here and look up spline. Once you get the spline, outside spline, we can increase this, and you can tell the river to try and keep more towards the edges of the river. You can see we brought it up to 250, and already that's looking a lot better. Now, another way you can also fix this is by going back to the water body river and looking up the Z offset. So the Z offset here is our Z offset on the side of this river. So we can increase this to like 40. You can see all of a sudden we're getting a bit more of a riverside here, or a riverbed on the side of this river here. It's going to help us fix any spillages that might be happening. Once we do that, we want to once again go back to the shallow water river, and we want to reset it. That's looking really good now. All right, so the river's looking good, and now we want to add some meshes that will react with the water, or the water react with those meshes. This could be rocks, it could be trees, it could be anything that you want. We're going to be using cubes at the moment, just for purposes of showing this feature. So we're going to be writing down a cube here. We're going to be dragging the cube in there. Let's make it a little bit bigger. As you can see, as we put it into the water, there's absolutely no reaction to that water. So how we get the water to react to it is the first thing we need to do is go back to our shallow water body river here, look up tag, and under bottom contour tags, we want to create an array, and we're going to create a tag for this item. So we're going to write river cube, and we're going to control C it and copy it. Then we're going to go back to the cube, and under actors advanced tags, we're going to create an array. And we're going to make sure that that array has the same name tag as what we just placed in the shallow water. So clicking on the cube, we are going to put it into the water. We can see there's still no reaction by the water to this cube. So let's place it somewhere where we want, maybe down here, break up this flow. And then what we need to do is go back to our shallow water body here and then re-simulate our water. And as it comes down, you can see it's reacting now to this cube. Now, as we have it on the live, we can actually move this around and see the reaction that's going to happen as the cube is placed in certain locations. So we can move this around and find out where we like it to be. Let's say we want to put it up here. We can also change the size. And then once we're happy with that, we want to go back to our shallow body river. We want to bake it, and we want to bring it back to the baked. Now let's see, we want to create further cubes. What we're going to do is, now this cube has the tag already included in it. So what we want to do is just duplicate it. And as we do that, we can see that the river isn't reacting just yet. That's because we haven't re-rendered the simulation. It's just running through it. That's what it thinks. It thinks nothing is there at the moment. So just like always, we want to go back to our shallow water. We want to reset our simulation. These cubes are showing nice contact, and again, as we can actually move it around and see the difference. So we can move it on the water and see what it's going to look like. Once we're happy with that, we're going to go once again back to the shallow. We are going to bake it and bake sim. There we go. We've got now a river water that's reacting to our cubes. All right, floating objects. Now let's say we want to have something float down this river here, and we're going to be using a cube just to demonstrate this. We're going to bring once again the cube in. So the first thing we do is we go into a cube details, and we simulate our physics. And then scroll down to physical material override, and we want to be choosing the default buoyancy physics material. Now, if we can't see this material here, we want to go back to the content drawer, to the little wheel here, and make sure plugin content is ticked. So as we go down, we're going to physical material override. We're going to click that, and we go back here and go to our water body, look up collision. Under collision, we want to change our preset to custom, and after custom, we're going to go to collision enable, and we want to go query and probe. Once we've done that, down to physical body, we change that to block. We can now see that it will flow down the river and use its property. It's also going to react to anything that is in its way. There we go. So you can see the water current is also taking effect to that object. You want to change the color of the water. You want to make it a little bit different. So first thing we want to do is go to our shallow water body here, and we're going to go to our baked sim material, and we're going to find that into our directory here. Next thing we're going to do is drag and copy this into any section that you want, and we're going to copy it here. All right, then we're going to go in content, and we've got the copy of our water, and this is a good practice to do. So just in case you change things, you still have the original baked. You're not destroying the original bake. We're going to drag that back into our water bake sims here, and we're going to double click that. So under global vector parameter, we can change our absorption and our scattering. So we can do that live. So if we want to change this, we can change that to a red, change it to a purple. We can change it to maybe a deeper blue. So this is the depth of it. We can make it a little bit lighter if we want, like that. And then this one here, we can change. This is where the foam is sitting. So if we want to make that green, you can see that. Let's make it red. you can see the water is changing. You got a nice red coming down here. All right, so how are we gonna get ripples coming out of our character walking through this water here? First of all, we're gonna make sure that we have game mode third person. So if we click on here, we can now generate a character here, and we can walk into the water here, and we can see that nothing's actually happening. We have no ripples. He's pretty much not having any effect to the water here. So what we're gonna do is come back over here, go to our project setting, and look up shallow water. As we look up shallow water, we're going to get this use default shallow water subsystems. So we're going to click that and close it. Now it's very important that to have this simulation, we need to make sure that the shallow water is actually on this status here, water component we baked. If you don't have it on that, this ripple effect will not work. So we're going to go back into the water and see that, as you can see now, we're creating ripples. Every single body part will create a ripple as we walk through the water. All right, so we've moved into a lake connected to a river here just to show this last feature. Now, while the waves of this river are dictated by the velocity and the gradient of the river, there's a few things we can change when it comes to the top textures of a lake or this sim. So if we go to our lake here and we choose the subcategory here and we double click onto our material, we're going to be back into the same menu that we were prior for the water color, and we want to look at these default normal here. So what the default normals are going to be doing, this distant normal is going to change the texturing when it comes to the distance renderer. So if we increase this, you can see it's getting more details as we work, and the same thing can be done with this one here closer to us. You can see you get a lot more ripples at the top here of the water. Now we can increase this as much as we want to increase more textures on top of them and give more of a wavy look on top of our water here. So bringing it back to 1, you can see the difference here, and the same with the distance here. So as we get closer to the water, you can see the textures are rendering in depending on what we have. This is number 1. There you have it, guys. Now you can add your own water simulation within Unreal Engine. This simulation creates dynamic, interactive and physical based water that reacts to the world.